2013, I'm working on this speech for Toastmasters, and I wanted to get from people, everyday individual, do they believe the American dream is dead? In order to get that, I need to talk to everyday people. What better place than the train? But here's my dilemma. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I felt that if I talk to that guy, he's going to yell at me, or this one is going to be rude, and this one is definitely not going to answer. It might turn into a political debate, or they may just think it's stupid. So I laid low. But there's one dude I think, he was standing right there. I was like, why? Let me just ask him. The initial thought was he was definitely going to be someone who would not answer the question or just think it was dumb. But I needed the information. I mustered up the confidence and I just asked him, hey, sir, do you believe the American dream is dead? And what happened next was crazy. It was the exact opposite of what I thought. Dude just blossomed. He started to answer the question and started to share with me that he didn't believe the American dream was dead. It turns out a lot of people didn't believe the dream was dead. They just felt that it's a little bit tougher. He gave me the insight that I needed. I was able to get down the path, and next thing you know, I put a great speech together. So what does this have to do with today's episode? Sometimes we conjure in our mind that our questions are stupid. We create roadblocks, and these roadblocks prevent us from getting the information we need to help the clients in the way that they need to be helped. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you what you can do to overcome this fear and how you can prepare to ask the right questions. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we're going to talk about your dumb, stupid question. Your dumb, stupid questions. Yes, your dumb, stupid questions, and those dumb, stupid questions are usually amazing, awesome questions. But in our mind, we tell ourselves they're dumb, stupid questions, and when we think like that, man, we get some dumb, stupid results. And I don't want you to have dumb, stupid results. I want you guys to perform and to present your information well and to be able to get the right information that you need so you can help your clients. And that's what it all comes back down to. If you can help your clients, you're going to be successful. And success typically in your role is probably making sales. But here is what happens. You go and you meet with a client, and then you ask some surface level questions, and you get some surface level ideas, and you take those surface level concepts back, and you go prepare a quote, and then you try to present your quote, and then the client or prospect is not interested, they're not ready, and then they put you to the curb. Then you're worried and you keep feeling like I suck at this job, and no matter what I do, every time over and over again, I fall into the same old situation. You see other people who are doing really well. They have the same type of clients. They're selling the same exact product, but for some reason, these individuals are able to perform so much better. One of the reasons why is that the questions they're asking are much better than your questions. The questions they're asking to the prospects are clear. And in order to ask questions that are clear, you must clearly understand the problems that the prospects or the clients are facing. Some of the reasons why we don't ask meaningful questions are simple. I mentioned this already. We are self-conscious, so we focus back on ourselves, that I might sound bad, or I don't want to ask that question right now, or it might be too rude. It's against social norms, or we don't want to come off as pushy, or that's, it's tactless, or maybe I should know the answer to that question already, so I don't want to ask it. Or my favorite, this person is an executive, so I don't want to bother them too much with these questions. One of the things you'll find with many executives is that they don't have people who challenge them enough, or they don't have people who will stand up to them with a set idea or to ask things that are going to challenge them, because most times everyone in their company are yes man and yes woman. They just say yes sir, yes ma'am, and they move on, and they don't necessarily, even though it's something that could benefit the organization, they feel that the executive has more ranking authority, which he or she does. And for that purpose, I can't present something, or I don't want to try to push the norm. They might say, well, it's a stupid question, so I'm not even going to bring it to them. And that's not the case. So there's a void. They need that person, and that person could be you as a consultant when you go into the organization. But to prepare to make sure you're asking more effective questions, one of the things you need to understand is where that question is going to go. You learn from attorneys that they don't ask a question if they don't know where the answer is going to lead them. So in your scenario, you need to figure out, where do I want this conversation to go? Let me give you an example. Once back in the days with my Honda Accord, the brake light was out. I started to do everything that I thought that I knew about fixing the brake light. So I checked the bulb and I bought a new bulb, but the new bulb still didn't work. We swapped the bulbs around with different bulbs and the other side, and the same issue, it still wasn't working. No matter what I was doing, it wasn't working properly. I thought then maybe it's an electrical issue. Well, the other things in the car were working. Why is just the brake light out? We checked the fuse and everything there, and everything was working fine. It all came back down to there's a simple little rubber brake stopper that goes right behind the pedal that compresses the switch that makes the brake light comes on. I never knew that thing ever existed, but someone, my wife, who was smarter, watched a YouTube video, was able to ask a question, and then from that question led us to fixing the problem. If you were a mechanic and you understood or experienced a situation enough, or maybe somebody's going to come to me in the future and say, hey, my brake light isn't working. If I know where they're going or what some of the outcomes could be why the brake lights are not working, I can then go back and ask questions that would lead us to one of those conclusions. We can then isolate, I can then fix it, and then I will be seen as someone with experience or someone valuable. But in my mind, I might think, well, that's a stupid question. Of course they check the brake bulbs, or of course they're going to check the stopper in the back and make sure it's there. Of course those things are going to happen. This person is an intelligent individual. They've been to college. Those things would more than likely have been taken care of. And because of that, because of my assumption and because of my self-consciousness and because of the fear that I have, I don't ask those questions, quote unquote, the stupid, dumb questions. But it's the little stupid, dumb questions that oftentimes, again, provide the biggest results. But it's interesting, though, the more confident you are in the topic, the less stupid those questions would be in your mind. And the reason being is that you know that most times people make mistakes with those small, simple little things. And because you ask a clear question, you're going to get a clear result. You know where the question would lead you, you're prepared and you're confident, and you can help the prospect or help the person. So back in 2010, when I started selling EHR and we were going into these doctors' offices, I didn't know anything about the product. I didn't know anything about the services or about how doctors operated and how Medicare and insurance companies worked. So I was trying to sell them a product that I didn't know much about in the long run. And I just figured go in and it's something that's government regulated that have to get these EHRs and that it'll be shooting fish in a barrel. But that wasn't the case. I would ask questions and then they would give me answers that led down to cubby holes or rabbit holes or to dead ends. I didn't understand the landscape enough to ask more meaningful questions, and some of the questions that I thought of asking, they were dumb questions, so I figured I will not ask them. And a lot of time the questions or the meetings would end with the doctor saying, yeah, I am not ready to do this yet. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's something that's going to actually happen. I don't know if it can benefit my practice, so I'm not going to do it. And then I'll say, okay, I'll follow up with you, and I left. And then found out like a year later or a month later or 6 months later, they bought from somebody else. What happened? The person that came in was aware of the landscape. They read industry magazine. They read trade journals. They understood why doctors need it and how they're supposed to have it. They understood the regulation and the law. So they were able to ask questions that sometimes I thought may have been stupid questions. Of course, the doctors know they need to get this, or did they? When I came back to the table and studied and prepared and learned what other doctors were doing and why they were doing it, how they're seeing benefits from it, and the income that they're going to receive, and all the good stuff, then I was more effective in presenting my case. I knew where they were going, so then I could ask more confident questions, and those questions led the doctors down to the path. When they said, yeah, I am going to wait, I was able to combat that because I've been down the path before and ask a question that sometimes I thought would have been a stupid question. What are you going to do in case you get fined? Old Donald would have thought, yes, they already have a plan. The new Donald realized none of them had a plan. The whole point of this episode is that sometimes we are afraid of asking questions because we don't know where they're going to lead us, or we are too self-conscious about ourselves that we don't help our prospects, thinking the questions are dumb, when in actuality, the dumb questions are the simple, powerful, good questions that we need to ask. The takeaway here is that you must study and understand the intricacies of your clients, understand the details of their business, understand the detail of the industry. This will lead to more effective questions. Ask questions only if you know where the question is going to lead, and make sure your questions are simple and clear. And don't ever, ever think that it's stupid. If you go back in the show notes, we have this all written out for you so you can take that and use it as a cheat sheet, and you can study and prepare and make sure your questions are effective. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the episode today as much as I did, and if so, go ahead and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you listen to find podcasts. Our show today was produced by myself and the Sales Podcast Network. It was edited and mixed together by the one and only Mr. Jershon O'Bale. Our content writer and show note creator is Mr. Shannon Rasmussen. You can find audio credits to this and all of our episodes in the show notes. And as always, I am your host, your coach, your mentor, your guide down the sales journey, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.